Hello there, it's Carrie Rhodes here. Welcome back to the Not Too Shabby channel. Today I am making 6 mini slimline cards, all with layouts featuring the Easy Wonder die. But first we're going to take a look at the paper pad collection of the month. This is the Be My Honeybee paper pad, 6x6. You've got these gorgeous florals, geometrics. You've got some prints with some honey pots, some muffins, glitter, like a watercolor type page. Amazing paper pad. Then our second one, Lavender Dreams. Wow, this one is really pretty. Also, you've got variety in this one too with your ombre glitter. You've got polka dots. You've got even pieces you can cut out to be like the focal point of your card. Great paper pads this month. Oh my word. And then we've got an ephemera add-on. If you want, you can add this onto your paper pad order and you'll get these ephemera pieces that really go with that Be My Honeybee. And then we have our clear stamp of the month. This is the Queen Bee stamp set. I love this set, and it can be used for many things, but I'm going to use it today to make several backgrounds on my cards. And of course, there is a coordinating die set, and it comes with a magnet sheet, which is totally impressive. I love that. Okay, so this is the Easy Wonder die, in case you've never seen it, designed by Lynn of LV Handcrafted. It's going to cut out your 6x6 paper in a variety of shapes, and it's just gives you those pieces and they're ready to go. So I'm going to give you 6 layout ideas that you can use on your mini slimline cards. Some of these could even be adapted for other sizes of cards. So here's the first paper I'm using with that honeybee paper pad, and then in Lavender Dreams I'm using this one right here. I will actually cut out some solid color paper with this die as well as one other patterned paper, so you'll see that as I go. I picked out some 12x12 paper that I thought would match my pattern paper that I chose, and then I'm going to cut these into 6x6 cards. So 6 inches squared, scored at 3 inches, and you fold them in half, and that gives you a mini slimline. Very quick and easy to do. So we're going to start out with these peach colored cards and that honeybee paper. I'm taking the little bee and stamping randomly on my card front with saltwater taffy ink, and that's creating my background. Okay, so we'll set that aside and stamp the focal point image for this from the Queen Bee stamp set. I'm actually going to emboss it with the Scorched Timber oxide ink. So I'm going to repeat stamp this. So stamping it more than once to really build up the ink on my paper, and then it will be a little bit easier to emboss with this ink. And I'm just going to emboss that with clear powder so that really dark brown shows through. And it's going to give me a raised up shiny edge once I melt that powder. And what a cute little image. This is like jar of honey with the little bee on top. And I decided I'm going to do my coloring today on all the cards with colored pencils. So I'll just walk you through this image and talk to you a little bit about how I color with colored pencils. So first, I always want to start out with a sharp pencil. And then when I'm coloring, I will color first in a really light layer and then go back and build up the layers. And the motion that I use is kind of a circular motion when I'm coloring, and I want to keep it really light so I don't get any harsh pencil lines, and I don't want to fill up the tooth of the paper. If you color really hard and you get like a shininess when you color, the tooth of the paper is filled up with the pencil and you can't actually put any more color down. So that's why I always start with light layers and then build up, and you can even add a second color and blend them together, especially if you wanted to use like a blending stump or Gamsol to blend that together. You can do that with colored pencils. I kept it really simple. These images are very small, and so it's easy to do simple coloring. And I'm just trying to pull in some of the colors from the pattern paper on the honey jar. So my little fabric cover here, I am coloring pink, and then there's also some green in that pattern paper, so I'll add that with or onto that label part of the jar. And I would say this green pencil that I choose here probably could use a little sharpening, so I didn't follow my rule here, but it would have been very helpful at this point. So now remember, there are coordinating dies for all the stamps in the set, so I die cut that out, and then I'm just gonna kind of lay things out where I want them to go, but not stick them down just yet. I wasn't quite ready to commit, but there you can kind of see the layout for this card, using that largest rectangle piece along the side of the card, flush to the edge, but with a little room at the top and the bottom, and then overlapping the square towards the bottom of the card, giving me room for my sentiment just above that square. And then I wanted to add a little bit of splatter because splatter is life. I love it. So I'm pushing the scorched timber distress oxide down on this window sheet. I'm spritzing it with a little water, picking it up with a paintbrush, and then just tapping on it to give me a little bit of splatter. Now this is a little bit darker than I really want it to be, so I'm going to pick up the excess with a paper towel, but usually I would let it dry a little bit longer before I did this, but I wanted to just mute it a little bit and give it a little softer feel. So I went ahead and did that, and now I feel ready to put all the things together. So I'm going to glue down that long rectangular strip with those beautiful flowers. I love that paper. And then here you can see I did use a second pattern paper with that honeycomb pattern, and I just really liked that look. And so those two together are going to be the combination for all of my peach colored cards, we're calling them, with that honeybee paper pad. Okay, so I'm adding in some little embellishments. These have little tiny yellow hearts and like big yellow hearts, so I just put like 6 or so of the littlest hearts down on my card to finish that off. So there's the first card. Very simple layout for a mini slimline. Okay, let's move on to card number 2. I'm taking all of the single flowers, like flowers without stems, and stamping my background again with saltwater taffy distress oxide and that kind of peach colored cardstock. So that'll fill that up, and then I'm going to stamp over the top of this with my scorched timber and this honeycomb pattern. There's also a solid honeycomb that you could stamp to fill in some of those spots. I think that would be really cute too, but I did not use that stamp in today's cards. All right, so once I have that filled in, you can see what my background looks like. Of course, I'm going to add a little splatter, but you can always skip that part if splatter is not your thing. It would make me sad. I love splatter, but you do what you love. Okay, so there you can see I picked up the excess to mute it down a little bit. Now I'm taking that circle from the center of the square from the Easy Wonder die, and I backed it with some full adhesive sheets. And then I am taking some like organza type ribbon and just like pleating it around the edge. And because this is really lightweight, thin ribbon, it's going to stick really well to this sticky paper, and then it also is going to easily ruffle up. So I'm kind of making like a ribbon rosette, and then there's 2 dies or 2 die cuts in this die set that can be the tails of that. You can see here I'm backing this with another piece of cardstock backed with adhesive sheets, and that's going to sandwich it together and really hold that ribbon in place. So here's those 2 like tail pieces. I'm going to hook the corners together, and then that will go on the back of my ribbon rosette with a foam square. So just adding the ribbon, I thought really, it's like really playing into the vibe of my card today, which is that kind of country shabby chic feel, and I'm all for it. I'm loving it. Okay, so next I cut some pieces of paper that are, I believe they're 7/8 of an inch wide, and then I'm just going to line these up with the bottom of that little banner, and I'm going to go ahead and give it like a fishtail at the bottom, just so I had a layer behind it. They seem to not really stick out as much as I wanted them to. So I just snipped up the middle, and then from the edge to the top of that snip to remove that bottom piece and have it match up with the fishtail of the die cut. So just adding a layer there, and then that really gives it that little extra something that helps those stand out better. Okay, we're going to add some images. This bee with the beehive hanging from the branch, and I colored those up with colored pencils and die cut them out. So just really super easy coloring because again, the image is so small, and I did use my colored pencils. So I'm adding the words queen bee to this one. I thought it was perfect for this kind of like prize ribbon type of thing. And then the little bee there at the bottom, and just created like a tiny miniature scene right on that ribbon rosette. And of course, with all these cards, you can change these up to papers that you have, papers that you love, stamps that you have, and really make anything with these layouts. But I am loving this month's paper pad collection. Okay, I added a little glaze to the top of the bee and the beehive, and I'm gonna let that dry, and it just is so nice and shiny and clear and adds a little extra special something to that card. Okay, for card number 3, stamping the background again, I'm stamping out the word "Oh honey." That's really scripty, and that's going to fill up the background of this one. I love using sentiments as a background. That's a really fun look to have. So just filling that up, same color ink, saltwater taffy distress oxide, and then we'll start in with our layout. Okay, so for this one, I am taking the frame that has the circle missing, and I'm going to put it on the card like a diamond, right about the center of the card. So I have the same amount of space at the top and the bottom of the diamond. And then I'll just cut the excess off, and I'm going to save those and use those on the inside of my card. So don't waste, right? And then I cut this die out again from some craft colored cardstock, and that's what's going to fill in my circle, right, like that. Okay, for this one, I'm going to stamp out the beehive that's more like a little house, and then the word "just because," and then the chubby little bee. I love him. And then that will be what's going to fill in my circle. I colored those very easily, very simply with colored pencils, and I'm popping each of these things up with a foam square. The sentiment is going to go across the bottom, and I'll just glue that one on, but you could also pop it up if you liked. Yeah, there we go. This needed a little something to draw the eye into the center. So I'm taking a black fine-tipped pen and putting an additional stitched line around this, because all of the pieces that you die cut with the Easy Wonder die have that stitched edge. So this is just adding to that look. All right, let's go back to those pieces I cut away and add them to the inside. They're just going to accent the corner of the inside flap, the part where you would probably write your sentiment on this card. And I think that's really cute because it's got those stitched edges, and it just is a nice little repeat of the paper that's on the outside on the inside. All right, that is all 3 of my cards with the honeybee paper pad. They were super fun to make and very repeatable, very easily to do with any paper that you have. Okay, let's move on to Lavender Fields, and I am doing the green card bases. I chose to pull out a second piece of paper and cut that down to 2 7/8 by 5 7/8, and then I put a little temporary adhesive just in the middle, and I'm going to take this large rectangular strip, more temporary adhesive, and I'm going to put that corner in the bottom left corner, and then the top corner I'm lining up with the edge of the patterned paper. And then I can trim off my corners. You could save these and use them again, but they're not the exact same size. And then I'm also going to remove the bottom part of my base layer of patterned paper. And that's going to give me a fun piece to put on the front of this card. Just like that. Okay, then we'll take the square. Now, you remember the very first card I did with the honeybee paper used these same 2 pieces, the large rectangle and the small square. And I think that's really fun to show different ways you could use these and how versatile the Easy Wonder die is. So I'm just doing a little dusting of green, or this one in particular is Parrot Ink by Alt New, and adding that to the square of my my pattern paper square. And then I'm bringing in last month's stamp set that was in the box of the month for April, and I'm using that because I just felt like I needed a plant to go with this one. So that's what I'm doing, and you can see I'm taking one of those corners or pieces of that glitter paper, and I'm stamping the same mug image on it again, and I'm going to paper piece this mug on top of the white one, so I don't have to color it. It's going to be like a glittery mug. So I thought that was a really fun way to use the glitter paper. So I did that, and I left the back of the mug open and the handle open. I'm going to go ahead and just color those in because I didn't want the opening between the handle and the mug to be glittery. So I just found some coordinating colored pencil and did that. And then I cut this out. There is coordinating dies for these images, but I just don't happen to have them. I popped that up onto a square, and if this stamp set is still available from last month, which usually they are, they have some extras, I'll link that for you below. But again, use any stamps that you have with these layouts, and you can easily adapt these. Okay, so then I'm just gluing everything in place now. Remember, a lot of it was just tacked down with temporary adhesive, so we want to complete that. And then the sentiment is going up towards the top, which normally I would have done before gluing everything down. I am going to emboss this, so I'm going to stamp it with black ink. This is VersaFine Onyx black ink right there at the top, and I'm going to stamp that a couple times so it's nice and vibrant, and then emboss it with black powder. And of course none of it sticks because I use my Rabbit Hole Designs anti-static powder tool. And I actually got to meet the owner of Rabbit Hole Designs recently, and she told me all about the tool, and I am just so impressed with all the thought that went into this tool and the quality of it. It's amazing. So if you're looking for something besides a powder bag that's going to work even better for you, I highly recommend the anti-static powder tool called Cottontail by the Rabbit Hole Designs. Okay, let's move on to our next card, and this one, more stamping on the background. I just love to use my stamps in that way, and I'm just using one of the flowers this time and kind of doing a pattern instead of like randomly stamping it. And then I'm using that same parrot ink on there so it's a little brighter than my background. Now I have a 1 inch by 6 inch strip I'm putting across the middle, and then I'm going to take the long banner piece and the short banner piece and put them on the edge of the card, and you can see they leave a little opening there. And then I'm going to use the circle on this one, and we're going to stamp and emboss Love Grows Here from that same, oh, it's from a stamp set that was in the same box of the month from last month, and it says Love Grows Here, which is perfect for the little lavender, right? So I'm embossing that with black ink and black powder, adding a little dusting of that parrot ink around the edge. And I also wanted to say the pattern that I chose to die cut out the Easy Wonder die from the Lavender Fields has the lavender on the front and the polka dots on the back. And I know normally when you have stitched paper, you don't want to flip it over because the back looks weird. But when you have a patterned paper, sometimes it doesn't really look that weird. So I just used the back side on those banners, and I think it looks totally fine. All right, we're going to add a little flower. This is from that Queen Bee set, and I'm going to use the same purples and greens on here and just have a bunch of different flowers because it says Love Grows Here, so it's perfect. I have a darker colored purple pencil for the outside of my flower, and then a lighter for the little inside part that's peeking out. And again, just making sure I have sharp pencils to start with, and using a circular motion and building up the intensity of the color as I go, instead of coming in with a heavy hand right at the start. I'm also going to use this lighter pencil here to soften out and blend those darker petals. And then I'll die cut it out with the coordinating die, and it's the perfect little accent for my circle here. And you can see this is very easily adaptable to any stamp set. Yeah. Okay, so that's card number 5. We have one more to go for a total of 6 cards in this video. So if you're still here, thanks for hanging out. Okay, so I have another piece of that glitter pattern paper cut to 2 7/8 by 5 7/8 because I like to have a little border of my card base showing all the way around. And then I'm adding on that square but offsetting it. And then I'm going to add in some of those banner pieces, the 2 shorter ones, and they're going to overlap each other a little bit and stick out the bottom. And then I'll add in a solid color circle that's a lavender color in that opening. Then all that's left to do is trim off the excess and add this onto the card front. So this, I don't know, this card went really fast. And that's because of those Easy Wonder die pieces. I really love this die, and it kind of gets your mojo going when you don't have any. So it's the wonder of the Easy Wonder die. Okay, I'm taking a piece from the ephemera kit for this one. I love this black and white circle. It doesn't even need anything. It looks like a vintage label that would go on like some lotion for a baby or something. I don't know. I just love it. So all I'm adding is a little bit of glaze over the top of that bee. It's going to dry more clear. And then I did have some light green jelly hearts in my stash that I'm adding around this because it matched the green in the pattern paper perfectly, and I felt like it just needed an additional little touch of green. So there is the 6th mini slimline idea with this set. I hope that you have enjoyed today's video, got some inspiration and ideas for the Easy Wonder die. A lot of you already have it. It's been selling really good. And if you haven't, I'll put a link to it as well as the paper pads of the month and the stamp set of the month. So thank you for tuning in to Not Too Shabby, and I will see you all again very soon with another video. Happy stamping! Bye!